Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of a double feature where we are discussing the great classic, The Wizard of Oz. Now, we've already done our write-ups and read our reviews and have a couple questions for each other that we're going to discuss here. If you haven't read those reviews, why don't you follow the link that you'll find down below, go ahead and read them, and then come right back. And you'll be able to follow this conversation a little bit more, and then at the end, let us know what you think. Okay, Thane, first question is coming out to you. When you saw The Wizard of Oz as a coming-of-age story with Dorothy, so she either gained an insight or grew up or something, whatever. So I have a trouble seeing that Dorothy has grown any. I have trouble seeing that she's learned anything. Because what she wants at the end of the film is exactly what she wants at the beginning of the film. So, please respond. How is this sort of growing into adulthood?
Good question. I guess my perspective was more focused on these insecurities that we all have. And with the Scarecrow, I don't have a brain, I'm not smart enough, and the Tin Man, I don't have a heart, so I'm not sympathetic or empathetic enough, I don't understand these situations, or I think the line is probably the most relatable, at least it was for me, I can't do hard things, I'm not brave enough, or I don't have enough courage, and so in that instance, I just thought it posed questions that I think all of us feel during that awkward adolescent stage, because we are surrounded either in the junior high or high school by people who, just criticize everything. And as a child, it doesn't bother us. We try to walk, we fall, we get back up, we try again. But as we get to that adolescent stage, we seem to be hindered by criticism and by, this is wrong, let's try again, and so I just thought from that perspective that was their message. Even though they tried several things, they couldn't succeed, but they kept going and they were all able to overcome their insecurities. Dorothy probably plays on, like you said, a little more assumption than the other three characters, but I thought at least the characters with Dorothy had these moments where, I had it in me all along. I just had to keep trying and keep practicing and keep going at it until I found that sweet spot. But, you're right. Dorothy's case, the best thing that I thought of was, she had to learn for herself, I guess. The slipper thing bothered me as well, because I was hoping that Dorothy would just figure out on her own and not have the witch tell her that, you've always had the power to go home. And I don't know, that kind of bothered me. I don't know.
Dorothy maybe not learned something, but her 3 hallucinations definitely learned something.
Right. That was, I think, my bigger emphasis was this, and that was my bigger emphasis was the asking the questions of, am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I brave enough? Am I real? Those are, I think, the questions that her 3 friends ask. And hopefully, as the audience, we see that they have it in them all along to overcome their challenges or what they think their hurdles are. They just need to, try again. So, why do you think it's called The Wizard of Oz? Dorothy, it's a journey of Dorothy. And we think, the wizard in the beginning, he's going to be the wizard in the dream. Maybe there's a correlation there. He's the only human, like you mentioned. Maybe there's some significance. But again, at the end, it's just this, I came by to see how you were. Did you get home safely? Great. So I don't understand why it's called The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. I think as I've continue to think about it. It's my very pessimistic reading, but here it goes anyway.
Okay.
It's called The Wizard of Oz because it really wants to drive our attention to the actual figure of the wizard, who is a humbug. He is a dream and an ideal held by this entire country, community, land, but ultimately when we get down to it, he's empty and he's a fraud and he's incapable of teaching you anything that you already know. The entire experience of Dorothy in Oz, I feel, is the same thing. By and large, it's empty. It's a fun story. It doesn't teach Dorothy anything that she doesn't already know.
Right.
Same thing with all three things. They all know what it is they're seeking. It's just maybe they don't realize it. That's iffy, I think. And at the very end, it just sort of ends. And so to point it with this idea of this is the Wizard of Oz, I think it's trying to make this claim about the nature of dreams. That dreams, I mean, they might look pretty and be spectacular, but when we get right down to it, they're perfectly empty. Maybe best they can do is entertainment, and ultimately, if you want a dream to come true, you have to look within yourself, because that's where the real desires actually are. Now, I don't know if that's right, but that's what makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, I will admit, I liked that, in your concluding paragraph, you talked about that, and I thought that was an interesting idea that, investing, what did you say? Invest dreams with reality is to take away the reality that is only to be found in our own selves all along. I thought that's a very interesting idea. And I agree with you. I mean, that makes sense to me, but what you're telling me about The Wizard of Oz is called. You're right. That is a very logical answer, that perhaps we spend time dreaming of the grass over the hill, or the grass is greener on the other side of the hill, or whatever. We think that, or I can't remember how the phrase goes. Anyways, we think that life's better. Life would be better with X, Y, Z, and so we dream, we fantasize, but really, in the end of the day, those are worthless and they mean nothing. And who we are inside to be happy is already there. We don't have to. We don't have to have superpowers. We don't have to have whatever to feel happy with ourselves. What we have is already inside of us. We just have to find it. So I thought that was a very interesting idea.
It's not going to win me any fans, I don't think.
Well, maybe it's just because I know you. I've known you for so long now that I've already learned that you're going to disappoint me in terms of ending of the story. So I accept you for who you are, and we move on.
Oh, you're so kind.
I know that I can't look for you for resolution, and most of my questions come in the form of a question from you. So, good question, Dave. Let me follow it up with another question. Oh, brother. So I was just to kind of give sort of a follow-up question. So if we just onto this movie's called The Wizard of Oz, and it's a classic, AFI's top 100, or it's top 10, I think, actually. I think it's number 10. Last I checked. I think it's number 10 in AFI's 100 greatest movies, but then it's number 1 in the fantasy category, as you mentioned in your review. So do we think that it's withstood the test of time then because of maybe filmmaking techniques, innovation, the use of color? I mean, why do you think this film has withstood the test of time?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I hinted at it, but I didn't really spend much time
you did.
on it. I mean, even though I think that this movie has a whole lot of problems, and the more I watch it, the more disturbed I become by the actual wizard. He is
Right.
This guy's the devil.
It's like, he's got this humongous projection of his huge head. He's got fire. Nobody sees him apparently.
And the fact that he's a fraud, he's willing to send a little girl to her death to make sure nobody figures out he's a scam artist. Yeah. And then he has the gall to tell her, no, I'm a very good man. Like, what? How can you say that with a straight face?
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway. I mean, I watch it and I genuinely like the film, and my kids now watch it. My little girls are 6. They watch it and they really like this movie too. And I try and figure out, because, I mean, special effects, meh. When the monkeys are flying, it's painfully clear that we're looking at models. When Dorothy's going through the twister, we know she's looking at a movie screen right there that's being projected in all these scenes. I mean, technically, there's lots of iffy stuff with this film. The best I could come up with is just the film's sheer exuberance. It doesn't take itself seriously. Which I think is the number one problem with this new prequel that they came out, Oz the Great and Powerful. They were trying to take themselves seriously. You can tell that everybody in this film is just having a lot of fun. The performances are over the top, and but it's meant to be a cartoon, so that's fun to watch. There's one-liners, there's music, and they just they do not stop to try and get serious. And that's why I think lots of people are going to have problems with my reading, because I'm trying to be serious with the film, and it's not meant to be serious.
Right.
My kids love the characters. They love the flying monkeys, and I mean, I love the characters. It seems to have this almost perfect blend of humor and horror, and maybe a little bit of thrilling drama mixed in to boot. And it's just able to switch from one phase to the other so well, and yet keep that exuberant thread running throughout. That it's just fun to watch.
I think you're right. There is this my life is tough, my life is hard, I want to just go somewhere else. I want to be somewhere else. I want to go to a place that doesn't exist. I want to go to this far off land and have an adventure. I think there is that desire, and that's why these movies do so well, because people want to escape the mundane routine of everyday life and go somewhere else.
Over the rainbow, where dreams come true.
Yes, over the rainbow where dreams come true, yes. That's where they all want to go.
That should be a big clue in about the nature of dreams and reality in this film. Life sucks. Get used to it.
Life sucks, so deal with it. A woman's going to come take your dog. It's normal. It happens to all of us.
She owns half the county. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. All right, well, that brings us to the close of this conversation. So let us know what you think about The Wizard of Oz. Both, what problems do you think that this movie has, but also more importantly, why do you think it's still watched so much even today, and why do people find it so appealing? Why do you find it so appealing? Let us know down in the comments right there. Also, while you're down there, you can look at the links in the annotations to get to all of our social media, where you can join us for our conversations this coming week, and check back with us soon to find out what the new movie is. It should be a good one.
3.5 hour epic.
See you later, and watch good movies.